Hey guys, back again. Part 50. Wow, 50 videos in. Not sure how much longer I'll be taking these quitting GPK videos, but for now I've got some stuff that came in the mail that I'll be making a different video about. This video is part of the Cancel RUSVAN series where I talk about controversial topics. Today's topic is garbage pail kids and homosexuality. Particularly in the cards themselves, we're going to look for evidence of gender politics and gender issues, which is a big, kind of a buzz topic here. In 2022, right? It's pretty fucking unfortunate that there's so much in the news about this. I really hate reading about it. But I thought it'd be just kind of a fun topic to talk about. I've never heard anybody talk about this before. So let's get started. Yeah, talking about homosexuality, LGBTQ topics within the cards themselves. So, these cards, were made in the mid-'80s, starting right late 1984 with Up Chuck, But anyway, if you look at the first card, we have Nasty Nick here, right? Notice he's sucking the blood out of a female doll. This would have been strange if, instead of a Barbie doll, if this was a Ken doll, right? So, instead of having Nasty Nick suck the blood out of a Ken doll, it's, a pretty feminine-looking Barbie doll. She has short 80s hair and all that. But you can tell it's clearly a girly girl thing. It would have been very weird had that been a Ken doll. Of course, John Pound wouldn't have done that. He didn't need that controversy, right? So as we go through, we're going to see moments where John Pound and the other guys are avoiding, it's mostly John Pound really, that's avoiding some of these issues, okay? So if you notice the first card, we have a boy character sucking the blood out of a girl character. So he avoided some issues there, but just kind of getting us in this mindset of, gender issues as we look through the cards. I went ahead and pulled some cards out that we'll look at. It's more organized than it looks, okay? I'm going to have to set you down in some moments to actually grab the stack, so. All right, so we're in OS 1. And so if you're going through the first cards, they're obviously boys, right? And that's not something that's nice to say in 2022. There is a lot of gender politics. This could be a girl. Sorry to laugh, but I mean, we're kind of in that mindset, or, some of us are, who care about these things. But in 1985, this is what a boy looks like, okay? In 1984, this was drawn in 1984, this is what a male baby looked like. Okay, so, and notice he's giving them really hard boy names like Chuck, John, Nick. These are clearly boys' names. They're not androgynous names. There's nothing weird there. Next is like Bill, right? That's definitely a boy's name. Ted. These are very boys' names connected to what looks to be male characters. We get to the first female character at April Showers. He did not push the envelope. On the other card, it's called Stormy Heather, right? So it's Heather and April. And what clearly is a girl, right? So I've been listening to a lot of interviews with John Pound has done. And he actually addresses some of this stuff going in, how he started getting aware that he had too many boy characters and also that he had too many Caucasian characters. That's going to be another topic. Anyway, let's move on. Okay, the first questionable card we get to is this one. Now notice this is not a humanoid. It's a droid, right? It's R2D2. But in the A card, he calls him Andy. And you guys know that the A card is the prominent name. So he set a precedent and called Andy, or called this character Andy. Now in Star Wars, R2D2 is a boy. You knew that, right? And BB-8 is a girl. I'm getting off topic here. But anyway, if you look at the B card, he switched to Stacy. Now, there are some Stacy Peralta, the famous skateboard founder guy. That's a boy's name, but it does kind of feel like he kind of switched to maybe a girl's name. It's just kind of questionable. So you'll see some things if you go through your cards where he's going to start switching up the name genders, okay? That's where I'm going with this today. All right, so I've got another little stack that I flagged here. Oh, just the greatest card to me. I just love Potty Scott. Okay, let's see what I had back here. Okay, so yeah, through here, I mean, OS1. Oh, by the way, there's a Pat right here. Pat's kind of an androgynous name. You might remember that movie Pat, the SNL movie, where it's actually literally, you don't know if it's a boy or girl character. But obviously, you know, the blonde hair and blue eyes and all that. But anyway, you get to Rappin' Ruth. Here's a clear issue. So we have what looks to be very humanoid mummy, right? But in the A card, he establishes that this is going to be Ruth. Rapping Ruth, female, right? I've never met a guy named Ruth. And then you get to the B card, Tommy. Okay. So which is it? So I don't know if you remember this as a kid. I remember going through these cards, and sometimes it would weird me out. Do you guys feel that way? You remember like going through these cards when we were kids, and like you would come to this situation, it's like, no way, man, why'd you call this character a girl? That was always my perspective. I always hated when he called a boy character a girl name. So we'll get to some of those. Yeah, that was all for that stack. Okay, yeah, I've got them in little stacks, little topics in each stack. So we're getting into OS2 now. Now this top one is not a humanoid. It's a fire hydrant. He calls the fire hydrant Kelly in the A card, but then he switches it to a boy character on the B card. Now the issue I have here, it's obviously a pink character. You think girls, you think kind of 80s gendering. You have the hearts here. To me, this was always a girl, and always pretended the dog was a boy. I just thought that's where this was going, even as a kid. I know that might sound creepy, but anyway, so he switches genders here, but it's not really a big deal because this is not a human, a doll character. It's a fucking, object. So you'll see that John, when he comes to characters that are objects, sometimes he didn't mind flipping the names, flipping the genders. But when it came to clearly stereotypical boys, he would call them boys' names, and stereotypical girls' names. But then he starts taking more risk. So we come to our next issue, in my mind, and go through your cards, and I hope that you'll find more things I missed. Obviously, this is, to me, this was always kind of gendered. This is, Double Heather and Schizophren and Fran. I don't know actually where I'm going with this, but, just seeing these name changes, it just kind of reminds me how important names were. The names were a super big deal. I know for a fact that Martin Newgarden, especially, this was a big deal. Like his role, he had many more roles, but he was really focused on the names. I think it's a very big deal as well. The names connect us to these characters. Without these names, if they left these cards without names, we wouldn't be as connected to these cards as we are. But the names also reveal more about the characters, like their mental state. I mean, calling this a schizophrenic girl, that is a pretty rough thing to do. And it's even worse nowadays. You don't really talk about mental health in a negative way about a person. Little off topic, but had he called this Fran Frank or Frank Fran, think about the gender issues you'd have there. All right, let's move on. That was a little abstract, I know. So we're still in OS2, to me the greatest set of all time. I wanted to point out this as a gender issue. This is one of the first times where John Pound deals with gender head on. So you have Harry Gary and Brutal Brad. Why is he brutal? He has his wife or his, she has breast, right? He has a hairy chest. And so he's setting the precedence for, gender and all that. And then on the flip side, we see Brutal Bridget and Harry Carey. Always loved how he did the names there. How they're kind of flip-flop. So he said, these are very gender-focused Garbage Pail Kids cards. And so as you go through your cards and look at them, you'll see times when John Pound or whoever it is, they're still making them, where they're dealing a little bit with gender, where they're kind of putting these characters into the more gender categories. I just want you to be aware of that, okay? All right, next stack. Oh, Jesus, look at that card. Sometimes he's my favorite card. He's not. But he's definitely top 10. Definitely top 10. Sometimes, a lot of times, he's top 5. Tommy Gunn, Jesus. I have nothing to say. I mean, obviously, it's a man. It's Al Capone. You don't call Al Capone Sue, a boy named Sue. You would never call Al Capone Sue. So John wouldn't cross those lines. I don't see where I had any flagged in this. So I might, let me fan them out. Oh, so you get to this one, I remember this. So a cactus is not a human, right? So on this, he felt comfortable enough to call this one Rick and this one Carol, right? A boy and a girl. Because, looking at it, you don't see any physical things. You don't see breasts, anything. You don't see facial hair per se. So, but when it comes to the clear humanoid dolls, you can tell sometimes he was struggling. Sometimes it was he wanted a name that sounded really good, but it wasn't the right gender, and you could tell maybe he was thinking about that. You would never call the untouchable, the sacred Mona Lisa a boy name, would you? So there's lines there, right? And there's lines that are still there. You wouldn't do that. You're not Marcel Duchamp, or you're not trying to cause trouble in that way. All right, I think I'm going to move on to the next one. I can't remember what I was doing here. Okay, so the next stack, we have 2 issues in this one. We're in OS3, obviously. Beautiful. Wow, what a start to the set. I'll never forget pulling that first Joe Blow and thinking, wow, this is going to be good. All right, so the ones I picked out to talk about was Stuck Chuck. Now, Stuck Chuck is an A, meaning that was the best name. That was the name it's supposed to be. So he establishes it that this is a boy doll. Does that look like a boy doll to you? Okay, but then he switches it to, you know what, right? Penlin. I remember as a kid struggling here with this. First of all, there's no clothes on this doll. It's perfectly bare. I've seen Cabbage Patch Kid dolls. I've seen female and male ones. There are some differences there. And insert any jokes you want there. This is actually one of the first times where he just took a risk. I don't know if he really loved Pen Lin as a name, or is like, what can I call him? Pen Ben? Well, he already used Ben, so he couldn't use Pen to Ben. Right, so, And the way I've listened to these interviews, these guys, they were trying to get these cards out of there. They were kind of unprepared, honestly, about the fad of Garbage Pail Kids. They were like, just get these fucking things out. All right, so the next we come to Spartacus. No comment, bro. I'm not going there. I don't really want to get canceled, like, and for real. All right, the next issue is this one. This one, okay. I remember for a fact I had an issue with this one. First of all, Bruce Lee. I knew when I was a kid, I knew exactly what this was. Right? As kids, we knew Bruce Lee. That was fucking cool. Bruce Lee. That was awesome. But then to have it changed to this Karate Kate. I couldn't get around that. Kate, there's no boy named fucking Kate, man. But you're taking this macho fucking hero. I fucking love Bruce Lee. And then calling him a girl. And plus, he's performing a sport. I don't know, man. I don't know, John Pound. I don't know why he felt he had to do that, man. Is it because it has long hair? He's like, okay, well, maybe they'll think that's a girl. I don't see her chest. I don't see her. It's a boy, man. It's Bruce Lee. And then the one directly after it, Grim Jim and Beth Death. One of my favorites ever. Probably my favorite. Well, Smelly Sally and Beth Death of OS3. Just stunners. It's hard to get around just how beautiful they are. But yeah, there is a gender flip here. He wants us to know that the A name is Grim Jim. And I do agree that's the best of the two names. But Jim, that's a male name. It's funny, though, when I look at this card, I see a girl, man. I'll be honest, man. I see a girl. You know what I think it is? I think, I'm kind of improvising here. I think it's because of, just came to me. I think it's because of Thin Lint. Because the last time we had a skeleton, I think... Did I skip dinosaur? Anyway, was Thin Lin, and to me that's a very Bunny Johnny, very female, and to see her back or kind of remind me of that. So here we have, to me maybe a non-issue, but to me I definitely agree. Grim Jim is the best name, but the more I've looked at this over the years, that's a girl, man. All right, so I got a couple more stacks and we'll be done, okay? So, what are we in? OS3. Oh, I was just going to just make a comment here. So, John Pound had a chance. Hey, have you noticed? Dude, have you fucking noticed? He has yet to take a girl character and call it a boy? Wait, Rappin' Ruth was a girl, right? And Tommy Toom. Okay, but most of the times he's willing to take a boy character and call it a girl. But he's been having trouble taking a girl character and calling it a boy. Does it make sense? Anyway, he had a chance here. I just wanted to point this out. So here we have an ice cream cone. I think of ice cream as like girls, they're sweet, right? They're soft, and and plus you have a cherry here. Let's not take this too far. And I don't know. To me, this could have been a boy, but he chose to do Robin, which Robin I guess is a boy's name. Sometimes it's usually a girl's name. And Marcia here. I just felt like he had a chance here to change the rules a little bit, but he didn't. He kind of stuck with pretty clearly girl names here. All right. Wow, look at that card. Wasn't that always such a weird card? Man, it just seemed like when we get to Mug Marcus, John Pound had changed some rules or something. Something about the close up, just something. It was so bold and it was just so weird and awesome. That card is always going to stand out. It's a lot of people's quiet favorite. It's one of mine too. Not a lot of people talk about it, but we all just kind of know where this card stands in our mind. Oh God, you guys ready? You guys ready? After all my blabbering, we come to this. Okay, I want you to think back. What was your gut reaction when you were a kid? Now we've grown up. Some of us have degrees, and we've listened to all kinds of perspectives, and we all live in the world. We know what's going on, but I want you to think back to when you were a kid, when you first saw this card. When I saw this card, I was fourth grade. Yeah, it was kind of a. I remember it was near summer though, or something like that, spring or summer. Fourth grade. Dude, I just I didn't like this card. I didn't like this card. I still don't love this card. There's something about it, ain't there? There's something about it. And if you look at it, the A name is Nelson. Now you could say he's going right to left. In American culture we go this way. If we're Japanese, maybe he would have flipped it or something. But we think, okay, the B name, Angela. The inferior name is Angela. Let's let this sit here and deconstruct itself. I don't know what I want to say there. Obviously, John Pound doesn't either. And let's just let it marinate as we go to our next stack. I got two little stacks left, some little topics in each stack. We're talking today about gender politics in Garbage Pail Kids cards, possible issues and non-issues, dealing with, just drawing characters and deciding what gender to give them and why, right? Now, are there more boy Garbage Pail Kids than girls? Has anyone done research on that? Are girls equally represented in Garbage Pail Kids? Because Cabbage Patch Kids is a female-driven brand, right? It's dolls. All right, let's see here. What did I flag here? I don't know. Oh goodness, here we go. I just remembered. Y'all might know what's coming before I do. One of the greatest cards of all time, Rocky Horror and Mardi Gras. Guys, did I fucking skip? Dude, y'all let me skip. Dude, I skipped the, holy shit, man. I got talking about Nasty Nick in the beginning and totally forgot the first big issue, man. All right, so here we go. First of all, Rocky Horror Mardi Gras. Now, obviously, this is a direct parody of the Rocky Horror Show. I don't think I've ever seen that whole movie before, by the way. I don't care to, but yeah. So he's dealing with this, a cross-dressing character. This wasn't the first time, was it? Remember Swell Mel and Dressy Jesse. Now, Jesse, could be a girl's name, could be a boy's name. I always wondered if that was intentional. So I want you to also pay attention particularly to the names he's choosing for these characters. Some of the names are kind of androgynous, like Jesse. It's, to me, and I know I'm overthinking this, but it seems like he's kind of playing with this a little bit, like calling them sort of androgynous names so you can decide which gender to give them. So, guys, we're looking at some very kind of progressive. I'm really pretty shocked that they made these cards. Look at that. I got this last stack here. And you know what? I don't think I pulled any. I think I just stacked it there. But yeah, so I want you to go through, and as you're looking at your cards, just think about today's issues. LGBTQ rights and all this shit. And just look at what John Pound and those boys were playing with back in the day. They were actually dealing with this. And if you think back, we were dealing with a lot of this. We had characters in movies who were gay and stuff, and yeah, so it was always kind of an issue in the news and stuff. But yeah, really shocking. It's amazing how these are still shocking in our world. To me, they are. I think it's great, really great. But yeah, you'll see a lot more if you look at the new series. The ones from a couple years ago, whatever. You'll see more of this flip flopping of gender. It's much more easier now. But back in the day, we're literally seeing an artist, pretty much one artist, really. Look at that. Look what I turned to. You're seeing an artist kind of deal with this. We see this progression of gender and dealing with boys and girls and which to make them, And a lot of the clues are in the names. And just pay attention to that, yeah? All right, guys. Yeah, I don't really want to be canceled. I just thought it'd be a fun topic. Man. Yeah, you might find some more that I missed. All right. Well, I'm going to do another video on a mailbag. So let me end this video. Y'all have a good rest of your day. RUSVAN out. God. Crazy. Is this too gay?